Welcome to the Blueprints Podcast. I'm Isabelle Bradigam here with Michael Flory, and today we're going to talk to you guys about a recent speaking opportunity we had. We went to a conference called Impact Live and got to share some of the transformational things we are doing as a marketing team. And today we're going to break down what we talked about, how it went, and also give you some tips so that you can find opportunities like this for yourself.
Yeah.
So to kick it off, Michael, I want to hear from you because I pulled you in a little bit last minute on this speaking opportunity, and I want to just get your perspective on, what your thoughts were when I first posed this to you.
Well, first and foremost, to give a little context, Impact Live is a company that we started working with in 2022, correct?
Yes.
So back in 2022, many of you were experiencing the COVID spike. The COVID spike was beginning to drop off. Isabelle, you were been working in the company for a couple of years. We had come across a book and had shared this whole idea of content, creating content. And so that was in 2016, and I was like, besides myself, hired 3 different marketing companies to try to help us implement creating content. And basically, we're a consultative selling company. We're not a one-call close, high pressure. We want to educate our clients, and we've always done it that way. We believe that's, in keeping with our business model. You had really embraced HubSpot, and we were kind of going down this journey of like trying to figure out how to start doing email marketing and all this stuff. And this company came along and they were like going to give us coaches, like 4 different coaches. And so that's what Impact did for us. Maybe you can share on that. They gave us 4 different coaches.
Yeah, we had 4 different coaches. So we specialized in learning how to create blog posts consistently, how to create educational video. We also worked on a lot of SEO, so website optimization and setting everything up. And then overall just leadership coaching. So there was 4 different sections that they really coached and trained our entire team on. I mean, I probably received the most coaching out of anyone at our company, just purely out of the fact that I was overseeing all of marketing.
Yeah. Well, and you got promoted. So I came across this. I had a conversation with Impact, and the book was actually a book written by Marcus Sheridan, and he had actually spoke at Block Imaging back in like 2010, 2011. Krista, their marketing director at that time, had seen something about his, he had a thing called Sales Lion back in those days, and they were trying to implement that into Block Imaging, who sells medical equipment all over the world. Anyhow, I came across Impact, and Marcus had partnered up with Impact, and they were now helping companies learn how to do this themselves. Like, you can go and catch and feed somebody with a fish, or this, or the saying goes, or you can teach them how to fish. And that was the analogy that they kind of hooked me on, and the other part of it, and is very similar to like when I got into EOS, is like, you're going to do this for 2 years and then you're going to be all set and you're going to run, that was kind of the way I kind of perceived it. And for me, it's like, I'm willing to invest in something like with Impact. It was a 1 year to 18-month commitment. We're going to teach you in that time frame how to do this, how to create blogs, how to consistently create three blogs a week and consistently create
2 videos per week.
And that was like, well, okay, how are we going to do that? And I'm just envisioning like you doing it while you're doing everything else. And but we quickly learned that it required us to hire a lot of people. So anyways, this journey with Impact became something that as a team, we printed off a poster board, all the things that we had to learn. And it was a lot. I mean, It was a ton of learning. So anyways, we embarked on that journey and we graduated 18 months later from the program. And so here we are. It's been 3 years then, or 2 years, 2.5 years?
Yeah, 2.5 years. And I mean, they have seen the content that we've been producing for the last, I would say, 1.5 years really consistently.
Yeah.
And then this last year in fall, we released a different type of video.
Yeah.
And that's really what sparked their interest. And they saw that, the innovative thing that we did, which was we created an HGTV style episode showcasing what we do here at Custom Built. So we showed an edition that was in the design phase, an edition that was being constructed, and then a completed project. But we really walked you through like an HGTV show.
Yeah,
so you got to see Michael and I in the truck and out on different job sites, and we had a lot of fun with it. It did take a lot of work. I mean, this is not the easiest piece of content we've created by any means. This was took the most planning, the most intention, but it really has been something that's instrumental and will continue to do.
Yeah.
So they saw the piece of content. They said, hey, we want you to come talk about this and tell us how in the world did you create this, right?
Yep.
And really it started with the foundation of first we had to master releasing 2 videos per week, releasing 3 blog posts, getting our whole team aligned to be educators in the space outside of just going out on appointments, but actually producing this content and being subject matter experts, as we call them.
Yep.
So our whole sales team, right? They're all subject matter experts. You and I are. And so it took that foundation, and then it took innovation and creativity. And really, for me, it's like I watch the different trends that go on in marketing and sales. And right now, like, people want to connect with people.
Yeah.
We're in a world that there's a lot of AI, there's a lot of automation that happens. And so people want to connect with real humans, and episodic content is one of the ways to humanize what you produce and put out.
Yeah. And I think the really cool and exciting piece about our content, we started a TV show with Channel 6,
Mm-hmm.
and we were doing studio, like, sitting educational videos, and we have 5 different partners that are all a part of that show. Those episodes were taking us about 2 hours to create. We would go to the studio, and we would sit and it's a nice studio, but it didn't have the feeling of being out on the job site. It didn't have the whole remodeling experience, the building experience. And so when you guys did that and kind of pitched me on it, hey, we're going to need to, it's going to take us a couple of days. We're going to need to coordinate this, coordinate that. And I still don't really understand all that you put into it. I mean, amazing. So anyways, we're at this conference, and because we've
and I want to just add a little bit more to what you said, just to clarify.
Yep.
So we mastered They Ask You the Answer, and then you mentioned the TV show, which totally is the platform in which we launched this. So we do have a show called the Designer Modeling Show. We've got 5 incredible sponsors on there. And so, like you mentioned, we'd been doing these studio shot episodes, and we wanted to take it outside of the studio and show what actually goes into construction.
Yeah.
So then that happened. We came up with the idea and took all it took to produce.
And Matthew, our videographer, it was kind of the clincher. He looked at me when you guys were talking about doing this, because I knew the time investment. We're gonna have to pull Josh in. We're gonna have to pull our team in. We're gonna have to pull a couple of our advisors in.
Sarah, Brian,
and then
clients.
there was like, how is this going to even turn out? We pulled clients into it. Anyways,
right.
It was a lot of work, a lot of organization. And as we're talking through it, even on this podcast, like, I just need to, like, really, thank you and Matthew, and just what an amazing job you guys have done. I think we all have done is this show. But,
and Matthew said to you, this is...
Oh yeah. Matthew said to me, he looked at me and he said, this is going to be the best piece of content that they've ever put out
on the TV station. Ever.
It was going to go viral, is what he said. Now, that particular video has about 70,000
views on YouTube.
And then what are the ratings from that show?
The ratings are incredible. They also actually shared this nationwide as an example to all of their stations across the whole nation.
Stuff that's happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it really did go viral, and it did make a big splash.
Yeah. And the thing that's amazing, and this is kind of just one to you, like, and to Matthew and to our whole marketing team, but then to Impact Thinking, they did teach us how to fish, but they didn't teach us how to fish like this.
Yeah.
They didn't, when you start learning something and you kind of get a taste for it, and you're like, boy, I really like this. We're bringing in leads from this. We're creating organic content. We're ranking high on the SEO. We're doing all these things. But now, like, hey, we want to go we want to go tarpon fishing. That's what this felt like for me. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're a remodeling company in Lansing, Michigan, and we're going to create a TV show. So that's the stage that we were invited on, and you last minute the night before you were going to do the speaking. You're like, hey, do you want to?
Well, hold on a minute. You looked at me the night before and you said, hey, you want, like, I think you were joking. We were at dinners, like, you want me to go up there with you? And I was like, actually, yes. And so we got to go up there together night before. I had already put the slideshow together, all the details, and then I just made some adjustments. And we didn't look at it the night before. We looked at it the morning of together.
Right.
Because you said to me, and I think this is so instrumental and just shows a lot of the growth that you've put into yourself. It's like, I'm just going to go up there and be present. like, you show me the notes, but we already know all of this stuff. We're literally just sharing our story
Yeah.
and what we've done.
Yeah. And it was super fun.
So fun.
To be on a stage with you and sharing about this story and the stuff that you've created, and it was absolute joy. And I think knowing your gift set, knowing your skills and your gifts and things that you're passionate about, like, I don't think everybody would want to prepare for a talk like that for 15 minutes and not do it. And it wouldn't work in all settings, but for you and I, we were able to pull it off.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that helped us be successful? I mean, I definitely think your slideshow, if we hadn't had that, we would have been all over the place. I mean, everybody would have been telling them about all kinds of things that didn't matter. But.
Yeah. Any talk, I think it's important to keep it really simple, to know really how do you want the audience to feel as you're communicating and as you're talking. So I think that was an important thing. From the beginning in the talk, you started off with a joke, which was mentioned by several speakers after, and everybody in the room laughed. And, we had the slot right after lunch, and one of the impact staff people told me, like, hey, it's kind of a difficult spot after lunch. Everybody's just eaten. And so you guys are going to have to bring some energy into the room.
Yeah.
And you said we're going to bring some energy into the room. So right off the bat, I think starting with some humor and then just really keeping it focused and simple was important for our talk, because we had a lot that we shared within that talk, but we kept it very focused on the point, which is that you can create any type of content you want,
right?
But we're sharing this episodic content. We're sharing the journey of how we created this, like what was the setup, what we did, and then what the results were.
Well, and I think the people really resonate with uncertainty and are things going to work, and we're able to share kind of like the risks that we took and Matthew's faith and your faith and belief, and that this was going to be a piece of content that was going to be worth creating. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we do a lot of things that don't work in business and in marketing and in sales. And I mean, how many mistakes do I get to make every day and still be in business? I always kind of joke, since this was a TV episode, I always kind of think about I would love to be a weatherman. Some days it's like, they get up there and they get to be wrong most of the time, and yet people love watching the weatherman. Like, what's the weather say? What's the weather say? But in any business and anything that we're doing in life, and I think lowering the bar, that you can get up there and do it. And so if I was to encourage somebody, when you get the opportunity, take it.
Yes.
You may not be ready.
Yes.
We're never ready, but we're always ready if we say yes, like, I love the 4 C's. Dan talks about the 4 C's, commitment, courage. Yeah. Boy, and that's the stage that, most of the time we don't commit because we don't want to go into the courage phase. Courage is not necessarily fun, but then it leads quickly to
capability.
Your brain starts jamming it out and figuring out how it's all going to work. And that's really what happened to us, in that whole time. And then the last thing is capability. So I feel
confidence.
Yeah. Last thing is confidence. And so I feel like having done that with you now, it's like, when can we do it again? And then we get to do it today on the podcast. So I mean, we're doing this a lot now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, so we kept it really simple. We brought in some humor. We really, we're engaging with the room too. I think that's another tip as you're out there speaking, is to have a question that you can have the audience like actually raise their hand or get involved in what you're sharing. That was helpful in the beginning of our talk as well, just to understand the room and the dynamics of the space. And then really it's just about the energy that you carry and bring, right? Like coming in, we were focused, we were ready to go. I mean, he looked at me right before I went up. He nudged me. He's like, I'm going to bring a lot of energy right before we walked up. And so that got us smiling and walking up on stage. And we got a lot of great feedback after. People really appreciated the story that we shared. Yeah. And had a lot of questions for us too afterwards of like, how did you like practically do this? And we did share a lot of that, but we also left some, room for the imagination, and people all go on their own journey. And so I think that's important too, is you don't have to get everything in one talk.
Right. For me, and for, if you're out there and you're thinking, well, I don't like to do that kind of stuff, or I'm not qualified or whatever, like those thoughts are thoughts. You don't have to own those thoughts. And so if you're on the journey of like, we don't even create content in our company, or we can't do that. Like, I mean, we've we've had to go down all of those paths ourselves, me personally, you personally, and like creating this content and then this opportunity to speak, just because you have a thought doesn't mean that you have to believe it. And so I just would kind of leave it with that, is that all things are possible, if you just believe.